We're wrapping up Dark Crisis. Dark Crisis Infinite Earths is in its final issue. I had a great opportunity to read the final issue, I guess, a day before its release. And it really goes out with a bang. How do you guys feel about it?
I feel good about it. Like I'm really excited now that we're here. You know, it's like it's been a really wild ride. I feel like this has been a long part of my life, like 2 years of just like figuring out all these pieces, and just to be here at the ending is very weird. It's very, you know, to go back to like this all started with Infinite Frontier and building the pieces for Infinite Frontier through to Justice League Incarnate, all the stuff we were doing in the DCU, all of it, all building. You know, all like even some stuff from Future State, like a lot of stuff for the last 2 years, we're all building to this issue. So there is a part of me that is definitely like, we made it, we survived, and there's also part of my brain that is like very much looking toward the future and thinking ahead. So,
okay,
you know, but it's very, I don't know, we made it, we survived, and Daniel didn't kill me. That's the other key.
Yeah, I feel great about it too. It's proud, you know. I feel proud. All the hard work we put in there. It's a feeling like you look at this final issue. I just received it today, the comms for it, and I was looking and I was like, you know, when you feel that you will not be able to accomplish something, but finally you do it, you know, that feeling of, oh yeah, we've done this, we made it. And it's a great feeling, actually. Yeah, it's been a very rough year, super hard, stressful, a lot of work, but it's been so rewarding at the same time. And we made a crisis, you know, as a fans of DC, and we are. It's like, for me at least, it's the best privilege, you know, like a dream come true. So it's an amazing feeling. Look back and see everything we've done to get here.
Absolutely. Good.
No, I was saying when we get the collection and we get, you know, Absolute Edition down the line, like that's, you know, like I think that's stuff where it's really powerful to just look at it all. I'm really proud of what we did. There is a moment, you know, it's weird because again, like you're so in it all the time that it's hard sometimes to appreciate that you're in it. Like the cool factor, you know, the fan of it all. And it's like, oh, you know, there's only so many people that have got to work on like a crisis for DC. You know, there's only a very small handful. And now Daniel and I think, I mean, Dan, you could probably speak to this, that like, didn't Phil Jimenez come up to you in San Diego or no, in New York? Where was it? San Diego?
Yeah.
What did he say to you?
Oh, well, I'm still shy about it, you know, because I just met him at the hotel lobby, and he was super nice. He came, we started talking a little bit. I was shy because he's like my idol, you know, he's a legend. And he told me like, hey, welcome to the Crisis Club. It's a small little club, but you earn it, and you are welcome to it. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, really, this is happening.
It made it really real for you.
Yeah. I talked to Grant briefly about some of that stuff. And it was the same thing. And we got to talk to Phil a year ago. That was a year ago, dude. Can you believe that? That was a year ago. We talked to Phil about what we were doing, and we were pitching everything to Phil and stuff. And it's just really, what a wild ride, dude. That's so crazy. Like it was a year ago when we were talking to Phil about this, and we were like fill in all the stuff we were doing. It's really, what a crazy time.
Yeah. The book has been consistently excellent looking and feeling. Like the tone has maintained, the look has maintained. Like the first issue is so powerful in its visuals and its direction. Dan, how do you keep that level of momentum going? Because like the last issue, the fourth issue, everything looks as good as the first issue. Like the first issue is just as powerful. Like you get every issue gets a big epic moment that you think, man, I guess I've been waiting my whole life to see one of these things, right? Like, how do you maintain that level of like consistency throughout?
With actually with a lot of hard work and a lot of passion for DC and for what I was doing. Sometimes, you know, I was like tired or like, wow, this is too much, but I just read the script and I have to do this amazing new scene, these oh wow moments all the time. And I was like, yeah, I have to go for it, because there's just one opportunity to work in something like this, and I wouldn't allow myself to not do it the best I can. When we start the project, I was fearing that the future me, like this is a big job, a lot of responsibility. I will not like in 5 or 10 years to look back at it and say, oh, it looks bad. I could have done more. Uh, Probably, or maybe, I don't know, in the future, maybe my art will improve and I will work better than in Dark Crisis. But I know for sure that when I look at it, I will not feel bad, because I will remember that I gave everything I had in every page. So this makes me like peaceful with my own art, and I don't know. The first issue was hard because it's the one who took more time for me, because I was insecure. I was like repeating everything. I really wanted to do something special, but then I get used to the crisis level stuff, and I'm happy that I could keep more or less the same quality, but with more speed as we move forward.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's wild that Daniel drew all 7 issues. Like that's something. I mean, yeah, Daniel, you should be really proud of the fact that we've said this before, but it's like the fact that we did a really massive event of this size and all 7 issues came out 7 months in a row. Like we never paused.
No delay.
We were never late. No delay. Like 1 through 7. We had the Justice League 75 come out last year. We had all these one shots, all these moving pieces, but the fact that we had an event where all 7 issues came out monthly for those 7 issues, all drawn by one artist, except for the epilogues. Like the epilogues in the back half of 7, but we knew that going into it. We always knew the epilogue were going to be drawn by somebody else. But to like basically have it come together, and I remember there were people in the very beginning that told us, without naming names, that were like, you should plan on there being a hiccup. Like you should plan for there being a hiccup. And I think Daniel was just like, no, like this is mine. This is mine. There was definitely some emotional conversations over the last year, but we made it because of Daniel. Yeah.
Were there any moments that you were kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to do that, and getting to work with Dan and understanding his style and seeing that he could deliver, you were like, let's go bigger. Let's do that. Let's go there.
I was always more interested in telling like an emotional story in the DC. We talked a lot where it was like that was the stuff that I was really all about. And I knew, so one of the earliest things I seen of Daniel was he did this annual. He did an annual for Justice League where all the heroes. This is like 3 years ago, I think. Might be almost 4 years ago. I think
more.
Right?
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah.
Was that? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that was 2019, right? It was January 2019. He did this annual where it was like a bunch of superheroes went to the Source Wall. And it was written by me. It was written by James and Scott, but that was at a time where like we were all working on all the stuff that we were putting together we were leading in the death metal. And I remember looking at that annual and being like, this dude is it. Like this guy is gonna be it. I could tell looking at that annual, and I'm like, where's this guy been this whole time? And so it was like then watching Daniel's evolution from that, and then you see the stuff he did with Future State Aquaman, and you see stuff he does with Action. It was like, oh, I know this guy is capable of so much more than he's doing. Like I know like this guy is gonna like explode on the page. And so for me, when I was writing, I definitely did occasionally write these big moments because I knew that Daniel would be able to kick ass at it. Like, because it's more than just like shoving a bunch of characters into a page. Like I knew that he could do beautiful stuff. And we had a lot of talks. And then Daniel is also like, a student of like Phil Jimenez, George Perez. And he went and looked at those events and he looked at Crisis. And we had a lot of conversations about like, how does this event be our event and do the kind of emotional stuff we want to do about legacy and say something about DC? Because that was different with With Flash, I was saying something about Barry. With Robin, I was saying something about Damian. With this, I was going to say something about DC and Legacy, right? Like it was going to be a different thing.
Right.
A lot of those early conversations that Daniel and I had were about like, how does this look visually like a Crisis, but still its own, right? So we had a lot of conversations with that. So that was always the thing that I double checked myself on, was that, like, how is this a Crisis, but still ours? And so that was the stuff with Daniel. When it came to every issue, it was like, that was something that was in my head, is how is this a Crisis, but still ours, you know? And that means more than just like, this page is going to have 1 million panels on it, 1 million characters on it. And don't get me wrong, I knew that Daniel could do that, you know? In fact, there were times where I would be like, Daniel would go further than I thought he was going to, you know? He would push harder, he would add more characters, you know? Yeah, but it was just really, you know, once I knew we were doing that, I knew that Daniel could hit that stuff, which I knew before, but you could see it. I think the evolution of it, you could tell across the issues. And that's why issue 6, we knew issue 6 was going to be the one with like crazy big fights nonstop for 24 pages. Like it was going to be nuts. And then we were going to get to this one, there was still going to be crazy stuff going on, but it was going to come down to, you know, Slade and Nightwing, and then Slade and Black Adam. Like we knew, like a lot of smaller conversations were going to happen. Because I knew Daniel could do both.
Right.
Yeah.
Where are we going from here without giving too much away? There's obviously a lot of setup. There's a great finale to this that indicates the return of a classic character that is beloved and should be getting a lot more play, that is going in a wholly new direction. Maybe not out of their character, but certainly a bold new direction. What can you tease about what's coming next?
Well, Amanda Waller's pissed off. Amanda Waller has been mad for a long time, and I think she's had kind of her personal feelings about the heroes. And so way back in 2019, we had this conversation about so it's funny, there's like two pieces of this, and I told this story before, but I left off the second half of it. So years ago, we were planning stuff out for like 2020 and beyond, you know, and we would have this huge whiteboard full of a timeline of DC events, and we were looking at these different, you know, big moments in DC history and, you know, different eras, right? So like what was happening in the post-crisis, what was happening pre-crisis, what was happening, you know, post Infinite Crisis, you know, New 52, all of it, right? And one of the things I noticed in that process was like, oh, a lot of these heroes have died multiple times, right? So let's play with that. So that was a big piece of it. It was like, these heroes have died multiple times, let's play with that. And that was part of the Death of Justice League and how the characters are going to react to it. And it was a meta-ness of it, because I found it fascinating. These characters have died multiple times, and I was like, let's try to talk about that a little bit and have someone like Nightwing be like, they'll be fine, you know, like let's play with that idea. But there was this conversation we had back then, and it was about someone like Amanda Waller. That if Amanda Waller realized, like, one, if she started realizing the rebirth of it all, the Manhattan of it all, right? Like if she started being like,
I've been rebooted how many times? Like
exactly. If Amanda Waller starts realizing, she already feels they're a danger. And I remember being in a meeting one time and just being like, if Amanda Waller realized these characters have beat death, how would she react to that? Right? Like it really clicked for her. And then we were having this summit, and this is back in 2019, I think. I remember thinking, like, if Amanda Waller realizes that they have done this, they've been able to beat death, but reality has been rewritten multiple times. Like you're talking about pre-crisis even, right? And then I was like, if she realized that Barry Allen had gone back in time selfishly, right, during Flashpoint, how would she react to that? So it was always this thing about Amanda Waller. If Amanda Waller starts putting the pieces together of what the heroes have actually done and the things that have happened, how would she react? And so even back then, so in the very beginning, it was Amanda Waller playing the role of like the person on the ground reacting. That's what a lot of this story's been. It's about people reacting to things. And so Amanda Waller finally being like, hold on a minute, like we have to do something. And I think I was trying to, in this last page, or in that whole last sequence where she's presenting, I was actually trying to invoke Jor-El, because at one point in time, Jor-El went in front of people and he said, there is a problem and our world is going to be destroyed, and no one believed him. And that led to the destruction of Krypton. In this moment, Amanda Waller is standing in front of people and she is saying there is a problem and no one believes her. Right? They're still like, but in this moment, and this is what's important about that scene, in this moment, someone finally believes her.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing with some of that stuff, is this idea that people finally are like, wait a minute, maybe like it's like someone finally believed Jerome.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. Someone finally believed Amanda Waller. That's why in that scene, I actually use I actually went and I was reading older books about Jor-El, and then I was rewatching that scene in the first movie, you know, the Christopher Reeve movie of Jor-El, trying to basically say, like, you know, this is a problem, you know.
Right.
So I was trying to mirror that in this moment of having Amanda Waller basically play the role of Jor-El and saying there is a problem and we need to do something about it. And that's what's going to be happening with the Waller stuff.
Crap. Okay, that's really cool, especially given your next assignment being Superman. And
you would think it was all part of a plan.
I would think, yeah. I think I'm excited. Now, Dan, what part are you playing in this plan, man? What's next for you?
Oh, he can't say. It's way too early.
Oh,
you can't say?
Yeah, I cannot say. No, sorry.
All right,
I wish.
But you start today, right? You're starting today?
Yeah, I just start today my new project. It's my first day of work, so little earlier.
That's great. Yeah. Well, we're really excited about it, man. I want to thank you guys for your dope book and for taking the time to talk with me today. And we'll
thank you so much.